Hey, everybody, and welcome back to episode 6 of the Sister Knitting Society podcast. I am Elizabeth.
And I'm Grace, and we are very happy to have you here. We are two sisters who live in different parts of the country and both love knitting and want to talk about it on a podcast. And we thought we should share it with everybody else. So this is our 6th episode, as Elizabeth said, and I guess we'll just jump into knitting stuff.
Yeah, grab your knitting, grab a beverage, and
yes,
we'll start by chatting about our knits.
Yay!
Although I don't think so. It's been 2 weeks since we recorded our last episode. Our lives are getting, well, I don't know about Grace's life. My life is getting slightly more hectic with lots of things going on with work. So we weren't able to record last week. So I feel like we have a lot of things to show.
Yeah,
that we've been working on. So I'll start. I don't think either of us have any finished objects at this point.
No, not this week.
So no finished objects for either of us, but I'm getting really close on one. So I'll start with that one. And this is a pattern that is a test knit. It's coming out next week. And today is Saturday, February 27th.
Yes, crushed it.
Does that sound right? So this pattern is coming out next week if you're watching this in real time. If you're watching this later, it's probably already out. But this is the CQ sweater by Alicia Plummer. I'm test knitting this one for her. And so I have made a lot of progress since we last chatted. So I have, let's see, there's a stitch marker in here somewhere. So last time we recorded, I was here. So I finished the body, I finished a sleeve, and I picked up and started on the second sleeve last night. So I am knitting this on, the body is on US size 6 needles. After that brief interruption, maybe I'll add some of that in as like an outtake at the end of the episode.
It was so funny.
If you stay tuned till the end, you get to hear conversations with Elliot. Anyway, back to the yarn I'm using for this. So yes, this is a kind of a variety of different yarns. My main color is Malabrigo Rios in the ivory colorway. These little dots that are closest to the purple are Malabrigo Rios in, I think it's whole grain. It's the colorway. Painted Sky Rose Garden, I believe, is the are the darker pink dots. And those are all 100% superwash merino. And then my thicker stripes, the purple is sheepy time knit. No, the purple is oh crap, what's the purple? Swan's Island. That's it. Swan's Island. And then the and I think that's called Vintage Lilac. And then the blue is sheepy time knits, and that's actually a BFL, I believe. And then the Swan's Island is 100% natural merino. So yeah, I'm really loving this. I did modify the pattern just a little bit. CQ sweater. Take 3. At some point, I'll finish talking about this sweater. Okay, so I did make some modifications to the pattern. Mainly, I shortened the suggested sleeve length. So the pattern has a short sleeve and a long sleeve option. I prefer longer sleeves. And it said that the sleeve length was 5/8 in the pattern. I think I just have short arms. I don't know. I'm constantly pulling my sleeves up. So I did knit the sleeve several inches shorter than it was called for in the pattern before I started the ribbing. And it comes out to kind of my mid forearm. And I think it'll block down just slightly because most of the yarn is 100% superwash. But when I try it on, I'm really happy with the length as it is. And if it goes down a little bit, that's okay. But I'm always pushing my sleeves up, and so I'd rather just have it be shorter. So yeah, that's my CQ sweater. I'm super excited. I'm really happy with it so far. I'm planning to finish. My goal at the beginning of February was to finish this by the end of the month, and I'm so close. But I don't think I'm going to finish it tomorrow. So although I guess I could if I worked really hard. But I did get the second sleeve picked up, and I know that won't take me very long because again, I only have to do like 10 inches. And I'm 1.5 inches or so in already. So I should have this done pretty early in March. Hopefully in time for pattern release day. So there's my CQ sweater. And I love it.
I love it.
Me too. All right. What's your first whip, Grace, while I put this away?
My first whip, I'll stay in the sweater game with you, is my Garnered Cardi, also by Alicia Plummer. I made a lot of progress from the last time we recorded to this time. Last time we recorded, I did not have the back finished yet. And now, so we're knitting it in pieces and then we're going to seam together. So I have the back done. I love it. I mean, it's not totally done because we still have to I'm going to you pick up all these stitches on the bottom at the end and then rib them, which is going to be rough. I hate picking up stitches and ribbing. So yeah, it's not going to be great. But that's okay because it turned out really pretty. And also I learned something new when I was working the short rows for this, which is when you work short rows, wrap and turn short rows at least, in garter stitch, you don't even have to pick up your wraps because they just blend in with the rest of the pattern because it's garter. It's amazing. I was watching a video and I live alone, so sometimes I have to talk to myself just as someone's talking and not the Real Housewives on television. And so I'm watching this video and this woman's like, oh, and you can just keep going past your wraps. Don't pick them up. And I was like, what? No way. This is great. So that saved me a lot of time and effort. So the back is looking lovely. That's all done. I also finished one of the front panels. Wow. Yeah, I made a lot of progress in the last 2 weeks. So this is the left side panel, that's where the sleeve is going to be. And then we've got the short rows done too. And I am ready to cast on some extra stitches for the sleeve part of the right panel. So I'm getting really close to being done with the main structure. And then you're doing a 3-needle bind off to get the front panels to connect with the back. And then I think we pick up the sleeve stitches and then do the ribbing. So I feel like I could get this done in the next week and a half with certainty. So yeah, I think I also had a goal of finishing this project before the end of the month because I really wanted to get a cowl cast on with some yarn that you got me. Mm-hmm. But I'm thinking that's not going to happen because the last day of the month is tomorrow and just doesn't feel feasible.
That would be a lot of work in a day.
It would be a lot of work and I wouldn't be able to do anything else today. So probably not doing that. But I'm really pleased with the progress that has happened in the last 2 weeks. And I feel like I really got into a good rhythm when it came to working the lace pattern. I ended up printing it out and taping the pages with washi tape into a notebook. I was working it just from the pattern on Ravelry, as a digital file. And I kept messing up on the back where I would get to the end and I would be 1 or 2 stitches off and that was bothering me. So I just printed it out and I'm using a washi tape to mark where I need to be looking. And that has helped a lot. And I think that's why I managed to go a lot faster. Also, the front panels are much smaller than the back. So that helps.
That does help.
Yeah.
Yay. Yeah, that looks awesome.
Thanks.
All right. Well, I will continue on my test knit bandwagon because I'm currently testing 2 patterns. So this is new. I haven't showed this on the podcast yet. I just started it on Tuesday, maybe Monday or Tuesday of this last week. So I have not been knitting on this a full week yet. And these are the Snowmelt socks by Lindsey Fowler. And I am a supporter of Lindsey Fowler on Patreon. So I saw her initial sketch for these socks before she even started knitting the sample. And I immediately knew I wanted to test them. They are so fun. So they're a DK sock, so they work up really fast. It's a colorwork sock inspired by vintage ski lodge aesthetic, which is very much, if you've watched our episode where we talk about our favorite vacations, there's a lot of skiing mentioned. So here are my socks. I'm going to get close to the camera so that everybody can see them. really well. So I'm doing them in this like light blue and gold, and they've got this cute little 8 petal rose on them, and that's like kind of the main part. And then there's these cute little stripes along the back, and I love them.
This is even more beautiful than I thought they were.
Than the picture. I know. They're stunning. So I'm knitting the women's small. I'm a little worried that they're going to be kind of big for me, but I mean, not that I have a problem with like slouchy DK socks at all. But I'm thinking maybe for myself, I should have knit the extra small, but this is the size I signed up to test, so that's what I'm doing. Even though it's DK, it's the same number of stitches that I usually do for my own like vanilla socks. So I usually do 58 stitches on 1.5. And this is, or 56 stitches on 1.5. This is 56 stitches on a size 3. And I am doing these on 9-inch circulars. I'm kind of on the 9-inch circular train now. I've got another pair of socks that are also on 9-inch circulars that I also haven't shown on the podcast yet. And I really like them, I think. So I've heard that like 9-inch circulars is like a cult though. So I'm like a little nervous. I don't want to join a cult. So anyway, I cast these out on Monday. Clearly I did the cuff, all of the color work, the heel, and I finished the gusset in the car on the way home from IKEA today. So I'm cruising.
Shoot, girl, you are cruising.
Which is good because this has a deadline and it took kind of a while to get my yarn in for this one. I'm planning on knitting a pair of these for like my entire family. So I got budget friendly yarn. So I guess I'll talk about this acquisition before the acquisition section. So I'm knitting these in Knit Picks Swish DK because it's budget friendly. So these are my 2 colors. And let's see. I think I have my let's see. This one is called Wonderland Heather, the blue, and then I think the gold is called Honey. My only drawback is that there's no nylon. These aren't going to be super hard wearing socks. I'm also kind of nervous to wear them on carpet because I feel like the friction will make the fibers wear down easier. But either way, they're going to be like lovely, cozy socks to wear in bed or lounge around the house in. So yeah, I'm totally obsessed. They're so cute. So
Really are.
I love them. And they work up so fast. I mean, these have clearly not been the only thing I worked on because I finished the sleeve on my CQ. So I love them. It's my first acquisition and my second whip.
I only have 2 whips. Do you want to do another?
Sure. Okay. And I'm going to laugh a little bit because last week on the podcast, I was like, this is so weird. I only have 1 whip. And now I'm like back up to 4.
That's my girl.
It's fine. And it was mostly because I was like waiting for yarn to come in to start my next project. So I have 4 whips. It's just how it happens. In my cute sock bag, I'm not knitting socks. This is a hat. So this is the Pappus hat. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. If I'm not, I apologize. It's by Morgan Panich. I cast it on, and honestly, I have not made progress on this like in the last week, but I clearly haven't shown it on the podcast yet, so I figured I would bust it out. This is one of the things that's on my like make 9 list for the year. And I am knitting this out of Cumulus Mohair in the Thistle colorway. And that's the Mohair. And then the main color is it's undyed alpaca, 100% alpaca from Crystal Lakes. I think that's what it's called, Crystal Lakes Alpaca Farm. And I discovered that it is in Frankfort, Michigan. It is not in Colorado, like we initially thought. And it's so soft. It's so pretty.
It looks very pretty.
Is just delightful. And it's really fun to knit. I think I have to do a couple more repeats of kind of the slip stitch pattern. And then I start decreasing for the crown. It's not a huge hat. I only have 50 grams of the alpaca. Oh, Crystal Lakes. Is that what I said? Did I say crystal or silver? It's Crystal Lakes.
You said crystal.
So this is like all I have of the alpaca. She's tiny. And then if I have plenty of mohair, but that doesn't matter. So yeah, I haven't made a lot of progress on this. I'm hoping that I can finish it in a decent amount of time. I feel like I'm really close on a lot of other things, so I should be able to get back to this soon, but I'm a big fan of it. I really like it so far. So this again is the Pappus hat by Morgan Panich, and it's really pretty.
It is
Yeah.
pretty.
So there's my one strip. Okay, you do one more and then I'll do one more.
Okay, next is my curling mist socks from Helen Stewart. These are the first socks in the Handmade Sock Society season 4. I made a decent amount of progress on these actually. I made it I usually knit these on the weekend and I do the sweater during the week, which is like, I like having one thing to work on at a time because these travel very nicely and are a good weekend knit. So this is where I started last time we did the podcast. I finished the rest of the leg and I'm working on the heel flap right now. They're knitting up really nicely. I don't mind cabling on socks as much as I thought I would dislike it. But just because cables are small on fingering weight yarn when you're working with size 1. So it's not like the most satisfying thing I've ever done, but they are turning out really beautifully. And I like them.
I love those.
They're cuties. And this color is so beautiful. This is hazelnuts. The colorway is Frost, I think is what it was called. And it's a nice merino cashmere nylon blend. So they're just soft and cuddly and they match my bag, even though my bag is springy and this is not really. It's okay. But
it could be springy.
Exactly.
So, I love those.
We're loving them. They're fun for when we're working on them. I don't have a cable needle that's small enough, so I'm using a crochet hook that I usually use to fix mistakes, but it's the smallest thing I could find.
Yeah.
And it's been working okay. I feel like having this much practice with the cabling, because now I've had to do it enough times that I've like kind of had to figure out how to hold the cable needle behind, because right now we're doing right cables and then the other sock you do left cables. But yeah, I hadn't mastered the jujitsu of the hands to be able to hold the cable needle and not have it fall off. And so that's been a nice learning curve too. I feel like I've gotten better at that from this, but now I haven't done it in a week. So I've probably gone back to being like 2 out of 10 on my skill of doing that.
Starting over. That's fine. Great. I have one last whip, and honestly, like as soon as I started the Snowmelt socks, I stopped working on these. And this I started knitting these because I'm choreographing a show at a local high school, and I focus a lot better when my hands are busy. And we had auditions and callbacks last week. I guess that was last week, 2 weeks ago. I don't know. We had callbacks or auditions and callbacks, and I knew I needed my hands to be busy. My yarn wasn't here yet for the Snowmelt socks, so I couldn't cast those on, even though I knew it was just going to be a whole bunch of ribbing to start out with, and that would have been ideal, but I didn't have the yarn. I had my hat, but that involves like thinking and counting and repeats, and I didn't want to do with that. And clearly the sweater would have been just too bulky to take with me, so I cast on a new project. So these are just vanilla socks that I'm knitting for Elliot. I actually started them for me and then decided she would like the color better, so I frogged them and restarted for her. I'm not using a pattern. I'm just doing like a basic like 3x1 rib. So I did 1x1 ribbing for the cuff, and then it's just a 3x1 rib right here.
Those are fun.
They are fun. So this is Cascade Heritage. I think the colorway is called Carrot. I bought this yarn forever ago and made our sister Mary a pair of socks out of it. And this is just the leftover. So I went a little bit stash diving for these. And then this main color is so fun. So this is Oink Pigments, and it's called Roy G. Pig. And it's just like a cream whitish base with like all these rainbow flecks. And my kid loves rainbows. So these are for her. I think I'm going to do one more round of ribbing before I start the heel flap. I'm very loosely using Lindsey Fowler's Hearth and Home socks. She does like all of her socks are sized for like little kids through adults. So like my number of stitches I got from that pattern, and I'll like follow her. Like I'm just going to do like a slip stitch heel, like I usually do, but I'll kind of follow her guidelines for the heel turn because I haven't quite mastered making that up on my own yet. But yeah, these are fun. So these are like a really like a brainless one, like that I can bring with me wherever I go if I'm like sitting in on a rehearsal or whatever. So little teeny socks for Elliot. These won't take long. I'm also doing these on 9-inch circulars, and I like it.
You're crazy, girl.
I know. Well, it's like I bought one set because I wanted to try it. Now I kind of like it.
So now I have to try it.
The only thing I didn't love, and I know some people don't switch over for the heel flap and heel turn and can do it all on the same needles. I think that sounds crazy. So on my Snowmelt socks, I switched over and I used like a regular size 3 with a long cable like I would use for Magic Loop. So I did that for like the heel turn, heel flap and heel turn. I didn't love getting all the stitches back onto the 9-inch circulars when you have all the stitches for the gusset picked up. It felt very crowded and I was like constantly afraid they were going to fall off. So I think that's why I made so much progress on that last night, was because I was afraid to put it down and because I thought all my stitches would fall off. So I was like, I got to decrease so fewer stitches on my needles. So if you follow my Instagram, I posted on my story last night and I was like, this is why people say they knit faster on 9-inch circulars. It's because you can't put it down because your stitches will all fall off. So not fun. Anyway, still a fan. Still like them. Those are all of my whips. I went from 1 to 4.
It happens. Especially with you.
I'm the worst. Anyway, that's fine. Those are all my whips.
Yay.
Yay. All right. Grace, I think you did some shopping this week, maybe? Or in the last 2 weeks?
I did do some shopping in the last 2 weeks. I have got some fun items. Okay, let's see. First, I ordered some. This was my first purchase from Sewrella Yarn. Elizabeth first tagged me on one of her posts when she did the Moana collection, and I was like, wow, these colorways are just gorgeous. So I discovered her yarn and her dyeing around that time, and then I of course followed her because Elizabeth follows her, and I'm a good younger sister at copying. And I hadn't bought anything until she did her greatest hits launch, which was in end of December, like right around New Year's, I feel like. And she brought back her greatest hits from, I think, just last year, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
She launches a new collection every month, like with a new theme.
Which is crazy.
She's insane.
Yeah.
But they're so,
I don't know how
like, they're so beautiful and creative. I don't know how she, like,
how she has time to like come
incredible.
up with the new colorways is crazy.
She is a master.
One of the ones I missed because I didn't follow her was her Downton Abbey collection, which I loved that show. So I had to look at what was available and check them out. There were some that I really liked, but that were like very similar to yarn that I already had, so I wasn't going to do it. But I did get this sock set called Tea Time, and the Tea Time colorway is this one. I don't even know if it's worth explaining because they're not going to be for sale ever, but they're beautiful. So I forget what the little mini is. I think it's Edith. So cute. It's her Edith colorway. Yeah, it's so cute. It's got these pretty blues in it and then purples, but mostly it's like this cream color and pink. I mean, yeah, I loved it. I fell in love with it on the website. I also picked up one of her tees, which isn't a yarn acquisition, but I'm showing it anyway because it came from a yarn dealer is what I'm going to call her. I got the key lime margarita flavored tea. I'm pretty pumped about it. I don't do a lot of fruit teas, so I feel like this could be a fun one, and it could also be a fun one to make like as an iced tea and do like mix it with lemonade. I feel like that would be tasty, so I'm kind of ready for that.
That sounds good. My
other acquisition is also other yarn acquisition, because there is still one more thing after this. My other yarn acquisition is also a colorway called Tea Time. So clearly I have a type. This is from I Feel Like Dying, Dying, because it's knitting. She's located in Indianapolis, actually, which I didn't realize at the time, but that's fun. This is the Tea Time colorway of fingering weight yarn. It's 75% superwash, 25% nylon. And this is not, it's like pretty different of a Tea Time from Sewrella. But yeah, it's got these pretty happy, bright purples and some greens and yellows in there. I just thought it was fun. I feel like I get very into these brighter colorways in terms of the yarn, and then I like have them in front of me and I'm like, this doesn't go with anything in my wardrobe. I never wear color. I think I've worn like gray 90% of the time we've done this show. But I really like knitting with color, I guess, which is good because then I have some nice accent pieces to complement all my bland colors in my wardrobe. So
those would be fun socks
another
too.
skein of tea time.
I have a very, very old version of Sewrella's Tea Time colorway. And I'm actually planning on casting on a pair of socks with it here soon. They're like next in my sock queue on Ravelry. Because I already have it wound, and I know you're not supposed to leave your yarn wound for very long, and it's already wound and I haven't undone it, so I want to make sure I use it. But it was actually before she changed her name to Sewrella. So before that, she was Handmade Home Fiber Company or something like that. And so I bought that yarn from her. I don't even remember if it was like part of a collection, if she was already doing that, if it was just like a, hey, I found this kind of thing. I remember ordering it with like some money I'd gotten from our grandparents for my birthday. And it's pretty similar. I think it's a little lighter than yours, but it still has like the cream base and the pinks and the blues in it. So I'm really excited to knit with it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We'll have to compare. But yeah, I think that Tea Time is a colorway that she kind of sometimes resurrects, like when it makes sense in different collections. But it's so beautiful. Like how
it really is. I'm a big fan. I can't wait. I love it. Cool. Don't know what I'll make, but that's okay. I still have one more acquisition. Should I do it, or do you want to?
You should.
Okay. I'm excited. I also got some stitch markers, or not stitch markers. They're progress keepers. I realized I like don't have very many progress keepers. I have the one that I have on my socks right now, which you made for me, and I think I've lost a couple over time. And yeah, that was the only progress keeper I had, so I figured I need to get some more. So I went on Etsy and I found Stitchy Lobster is the shop name. I got a little monarch butterfly and an ice cream cone. And then this one is like this really dainty, there's like a bumblebee and a flower, and it's all like floral around the sides of it. I thought it was gorgeous. It's like so unlike these like enamel ones, but it's really gorgeous. I loved it.
That's so pretty.
Yeah. That's my final acquisition.
I love it.
No problem. I need an intervention.
No, really. You don't need an intervention because all you keep doing is enabling me. Okay. So I also have a lot of acquisitions from the last 2 weeks. I already talked about my swish from Knit Picks, so I'm not going to talk about that again. So I'll do this one first. It's a single skein. So this is also Sewrella Yarns. This is her Be Mine colorway, which she did for Valentine's Day. And this is in her bulky base. It's 100% merino. And it's like these just like different shades of like dusty pink, and I love it. So our youngest sister, Mary, is like super into hats. And I said, I want to knit you a hat that you could like take with you to college, because she is graduating from high school this year. And so Woolberry came out with her kind of like capsule Valentine's Day collection. And Mary was like, that one. I want that one. And I was like, okay, sounds great. And I went to go buy it, and I realized she only released her Valentine's collection on like fingering and DK, and she wanted like a bulky like cabled hat. So I was like, dang it. So then I was like, okay, well, I'll just keep an eye out for similar style yarns. And then Sewrella posted about her Valentine's yarns, and I sent it to Mary and I said, hey, do you like either of these? And she said, the pink one. And I said, Okay, so here we are. We've got her pink yarn. So this will end up being probably a cabled hat. It's only 108 yards, which isn't a ton, especially for cables. So we're gonna try. I know I definitely won't. I have a pattern in mind. I definitely won't have enough to do the pom pom out of the yarn, but I'll do like a faux fur pom pom on top because Mary's cute and she needs a pom pom on her hat.
She does.
So I'm excited for this one. And my LYS has a really great pom pom selection. So I know I can just knit the hat, walk in, find one that works, and go. So that's my first acquisition is Sewrella's classic bulky in the Be Mine colorway, which is just adorable. And then I did some other shopping. So my first acquisition, first acquisition, that was my first one. My second acquisition comes with a bit of backstory because it's a huge amount of Quince & Co yarn. And I'm saying this with a disclaimer because I know about all the things that have been going on with Quince. Yesterday, I think I read kind of an update from them on what they've been doing. I'm very curious to see how they stay committed to that over time. But one of their flagship retailers, after all this stuff was coming out, and one of their flagship retailers is Gather Here, which is a yarn shop in Massachusetts. And they had over $30,000 of inventory of Quince & Co yarn that they did not want to stock anymore. So they put it on sale, trying to clear out their shelves with the promise that they weren't going to restock Quince & Co. They wanted it off their shelves. And I don't think it's right to punish yarn stores for trying to get it off their shelves. So I bought a bunch from them. By a bunch, I mean a bunch. Granted, these are 50 gram skeins, so it's not that bad. But I got a sweater quantity of this one. This is the bird's egg colorway.
That's beautiful.
Which I love. It's so pretty. And this is 100% American wool. It's non-superwash. I'm trying to use more non-superwash because I've been recently learning about all the different environmental impacts of making superwash yarn. So I'm trying to do more non-superwash. I think it's kind of difficult for like some things, but more and more I'm trying to like be more conscious of that. So I have a sweater quantity of this. I'm planning on making Melody Hoffman's Flora jumper with it, which I think will be really pretty, this color. And I also really love this color on me. So big fan of this one. I got a sweater quantity of that. I also wanted a sweater quantity of the next one I'm going to show you, but they only had 2 skeins left, so I got both. And this is just the most beautiful, like pale pink. So this is called Petal. And again, it's the same 100% American wool. And this is, I didn't say, this is their Finch base. So it's a fingering weight. I think I'm going to do socks out of these. I don't know yet. I was thinking of doing Hookah Canyon's Olympus Cove socks in these. So I'm still thinking about it. Kim knit her sample of those in like a tweed blue that I also really like, but I think it could be pretty in this petal color. But I also think these could be like really pretty like lace socks. So I'm also kind of thinking Sorry Nordland's Poet socks could be really pretty in this colorway. So I don't know. Suggestions welcome. Clearly they won't go on my needles for a long time, but I was happy to support Gather Here and getting all this yarn off their shelves. And it even included, is it in here? I don't know where it went, but in my package was a nice like handwritten note from, I don't know if it was the owner, whoever packed the order, but thanking me for supporting their shop and getting this inventory off of their hands. So I just thought that was sweet, and I am really happy to see local businesses standing up for what they believe in. And I mean, it's hard because Quince & Co, it's a really good like budget friendly yarn, and it's still high quality without feeling like you're paying an arm and a leg. But all of that really means nothing if you're gonna treat your employees and your former employees really poorly. So if you don't know all the information about that, you can like send us a message. We'll give you the links for stuff to read. Yes, and if your local yarn store carries Quince and they're trying to get off their shelves and you're in a financial position to do so, you should buy them. So that's that one. And then I went to the yarn store yesterday. I have another bag of yarn. So this all started because this weekend in Indiana, it's yarn crawl weekend. And this is usually like my local yarn shops, like one of their biggest weekends. And obviously with the pandemic, things are different and they're not really sure how it's going to go. There's not like, it's not as big of an event this year as it has been in years past. But one of the things they always do is they have like a custom dyed colorway for the yarn crawl. So this all started because I asked them to set aside a skein of that for me. And so this is Leading Man Fiber Arts, or Leading Men Fiber Arts. And this is their Showstopper base. And this is the colorway called Renewal. So this was what they made for the crawl this year. It is 75% superwash, 25% nylon. Also thinking about maybe doing the Olympus Cove socks in these, which is why I wasn't sure. Because I think that like that green would be really pretty. Anyway, so I love this colorway and that's how it started. I was like, oh, I have to go in there and get this because I asked them to put it on hold for me. But then the day I was planning on going in, they do live videos on their Facebook almost every day. And they, so the owners are mother and daughter, and they talk about like they find patterns and they pull yarn and they talk about what's going on in the shop and in their lives, and it's great. It's like a mini podcast every day. And they happened to do this on the day that the Flutter Butt set by Jessie Maid came out. And I've been eyeing the Flutter Buttshirt since she announced that she
the test call. Yeah.
I'm obsessed with it. And so Marina pulled some yarn for the Flutter Butt. And I sent the video to Grace and I said, I need you to start watching this at 11 minutes. And then I need you to talk me out of buying it.
Not I. Not I.
So
never
here we
do
go.
such a thing.
I bought the yarn to make a Flutter Butt. Again, no idea when it's going to happen. And right now I'm only planning on making the top. I'm not planning on making the shorts. This is what I got. So I'm going to hold it together with mohair. This is technically a lace weight and it calls for fingering weight. So I'm going to hold mohair and lace together and hope for the best. It's knitted a really open gauge. So I feel like as long as I get a gauge, it'll be fine. So this is new to our shop. This is Rico Design Essentials. And it's just a mohair silk, 70% mohair, 30% silk. So doing that. And let's see, does it have a colorway name? Cream. Descriptive in cream.
Accurate.
Then my main color is this Ballet Pink. And this is Universal Yarns, I believe. Yes. And this is Flax lace. It's 100% linen in this amazing Ballet Pink. So
it's so pretty.
So pretty. So I learned this from Marina. You can like hold these together and see what it'll look like when you knit them together, and it's just going to be so pretty and fluffy and comfy. And this feels really crunchy right now, but she says that when you wash it, it's going to be like super soft. And I just trust her, and I love it.
It's beautiful.
I've never knit with linen before, so I'm a little nervous, but I'm really excited. So this is what we're doing. I can't wait. I don't know when I'm going to cast it on. I kind of want to just drop everything and cast it on now, but I already have 4 whips and I shouldn't do that. That would be irresponsible. So that's all the yarn I bought. It was too much. It's fine. Yeah. So anyway, that's all my shopping. And now I need to stop for a while. Right. Should we do our shout outs?
Yes. Ready, spaghetti?
Ready, spaghetti.
Okay. I'm going to go first because I'm really excited about my knitting related shout out this week. And I've been holding on to it since like 2 Fridays ago when we were going to do the podcast and then we didn't. So now it's a little outdated. It's not super recent that this happened. But I was sitting on Instagram procrastinating on doing my job on Friday afternoon. And I like never watch live Instagram videos. I mean, sometimes I watch people's stories, but like, I don't like sit and like watch a live very often. And I was like going to watch stories and I accidentally clicked on a live and it was from Kristen Bell. And I find her delightful. And what happens in the video is I turn it on and it's Kristen Bell and she's on a live with a little boy named Jonah and he's teaching her to crochet. And it's the most delightful, pure content that I've ever seen probably in my whole life. And that includes the picture I sent you the other day of the man in Australia who makes sweaters for penguins.
Not just penguins, injured penguins.
Yes.
Come on. That's my life goal. Sorry.
Really though.
That was almost my knitting related shout out this week.
Yeah, that was amazing. It was like hard to pick.
It was.
So in this video, little Jonah is a crocheter and he's teaching Kristen what to do. And he's so patient. Granted, Kristen's a good student. They talk in the video about how Kristen has been knitting since she was a kid. She's currently working on a sweater. And so he's teaching her.
Why I like her so much.
Okay, work your yarn over, pull it through. Like he's so patient. And then as she's going, she's figuring it out. And little Jonah, I think he's 13. He's like, wow, Kristen, you're doing such an amazing job. He's giving her all these compliments. He's so kind to her. And it was just so sweet. He's like the most patient, well-spoken 13-year-old that I've ever seen in my life. I could never have been that like cool and nice as a 13-year-old. I thought I was way too cool for that. Kristen's asking him like, oh, how did you learn to crochet? Like, did someone teach you from your family? And little Jonah's like, oh, one time I was at my aunt's house and we were cleaning and I saw some yarn and the hook and I thought, what's that? And then my mom pulled up some YouTube videos for me and I learned that way. I'm like, this kid is so sweet. And their conversations are so just like gentle and kind. Kristen's talking about, oh, it's so nice to be able to knit and crochet because you can make warm sweaters. And little Jonah's like, oh, I agree. The frigid Wisconsin winters really do get you cold. And I'm like, oh, Daddy's so sweet. It's like a 45-minute video. And I probably watched about 25 minutes of it. And every second I saw was completely delightful. And I highly recommend that everyone go and watch it. There's one part where Kristen's like, oh, I'm working on a sweater right now, and like pulls it out and like pulls up the sleeve. And Jonah's like, that's really cool. It looks really good. And Kristen's like, dope, right? Like sometimes she really is Eleanor Shellstrop from The Good Place in real life, but it was the best video. I sent it to my boyfriend Brandon as it was on, and he started watching it too, and he was like, "This is amazing."
I love that so cute.
Much. So cute. Okay, yeah, I could talk about it all day, but I won't.
I'm gonna go watch that. Okay, my knitting related shout out is not as exciting. But I discovered a new dyer in the last couple weeks, so I'm hoping that I can have some acquisitions of her yarn here fairly soon. And so my knitting related shout out this week goes to Sunday Fiber Company. She's based in Canada, and her colorways are like, if you could take my aesthetic and put it into skeins of yarn, like not just my aesthetic for like my clothes, but like just for my entire life, it would be her yarn. So everything is just like pastel and calm and serene. And I love it so much. and her colorways are just so beautiful. So she recently had a shop update. I think there's still some stuff available. She also has this really cool thing where you can like pre-order basically a sweater quantity from her. So you don't have to like fight people to get like the right amount of yarn for your project. And it can take like 5 to 6 weeks for her, like depending on what she has in stock versus what she would have to dye. So you have like, it's not like you could order it and then cast on your sweater in a week. But if you know that you're going to be making something, you can like basically pre-order a sweater quantity from her and she'll dye it for you, which I think is amazing. So now I'm like going through my Ravelry patterns and going, oh, that would look so pretty in that. And so, so I definitely like, I love her colors. I love like just looking at her feed instantly like calms my mind. So I sent her stuff to Grace when I discovered it, and I'm kind of sad I didn't discover it sooner. So Sunday Fiber Company gets my knitting related shout out this week for being wonderful and also lessening my anxiety by beautiful colors. So that's my shout out. Your turn.
Non-knitting related. Ready? My non-knitting related shout out is also a video. I've watched it probably 5 or 6 times in my life. It's about 4 minutes long. And it is a video from Rachel Ray on YouTube teaching you how to put a duvet insert into the cover very easily. And I used it this week, so I thought it deserved a shout out. It's so helpful. I watch it every time I have to put the duvet in because I watch the cover. And it's so easy. It's so much easier than people think.
I have a really great photo of my husband attempting to put the duvet in. And he's like standing inside the duvet cover with like one hand in each corner. And he was very tall. He's like 6'3". So he's got like one hand in each corner and he looks like a little ghost inside the duvet cover. And I don't know how he thought he was going to get it in there, but that's how it ended up. And I treasure that picture a lot.
I feel like it's something that everyone thinks needs to be super complicated to get the duvet
like folding
in
a
there.
fitted sheet. It's actually not
exactly. No, it's not that hard. Yeah. So that saved my butt a couple of times. I could be wasting hours and getting very sweaty trying to put a duvet in its insert, but you don't have to do that.
You don't. I love that. I'm gonna have to watch your video. Resource. Maybe my technique could be improved.
So helpful.
Awesome.
What's yours?
All right. My non-knitting related shout out this week goes to the Instagram account Models Doing Ballet. It is both horrifying and hilarious. So as a ballet teacher and someone involved in the dance industry, you don't even have to be a ballet teacher to know what bad technique is. Right? You don't need to be a ballet teacher to know that when you tie point shoes, you actually don't lace the ribbons all the way up your calf, right? Like they stay around your ankle. And these photos are so ridiculous, but they recently showed clips.
Interruptions. Oh, she's too good.
Show interrupted.
Number 3.
It's going to be called. All right. Anyway, this account, they recently showed a video or a clip, and I think it's like Germany's Next Top Model or some kind of like modeling competition show in Germany based on ANTM in the US. And Heidi Klum is somehow involved because why wouldn't she be?
Of course.
And it was basically like the clip showed the models in like their first ballet class ever and then putting on point shoes and doing a photo shoot. And
oh my,
again, like it's horrifying because they could like very seriously damage their ankles, their ligaments. But it's hilarious because it's so bad. And they ended up showing later in the week, the final photos from these photo shoots. And they're so bad. They're like in these Swan Lake tutus, and their feet are just awful. But anyway, this Instagram account, they're very clear that they're not making fun of the models, right? Because the models are just doing their job.
Yeah.
So their hashtag is always, who did this to her? Right? So their stance is, yes, we're making fun of the bad technique we see in these pictures, but also if you want
someone's at fault here.
Right. If you want pictures of somebody in point shoes, or if you want ballet pictures to sell your product, hire dancers.
Yeah.
Don't hire models who have no dance training. So anyway, but I just could not get over Germany's Next Top Model. And I need to go find this episode in full. I don't speak German, but I could figure it out just to watch this episode. It is, oh my gosh, they're so bad. But models doing ballet on Instagram, it's so good and so bad. It's so bad. That's my non-knitting related shout out. It goes with my other job, but yeah, it's fine. Let's do our top 3.
Okay.
Okay.
We have a boring top 3 this week, I guess.
I don't think it's that boring.
It's simple. It's okay. Simple is the right word.
No, we decided to keep it simple. So this week we're doing our top 3 favorite colors.
Yay!
And Grace should go first because I just
talked. My favorite colors. Okay, my favorite colors in order are number 3, gold. I love how gold goes with pretty much everything. It can be a holiday color. It can be a decorative color. It's great. It's a good color. Also, it's good with redheads, which is kind of a key for me. I don't like wearing silver a lot, so I'd rather wear gold. Number 2 is sage green. This is a recent addition. I am a big fan of light pink, but it doesn't look very good with my skin tone, so I can't include it on here. Otherwise, it would have been my number 2. And now I'm realizing that sage green looks better with my skin, complements the red hair. It's also a good kind of base color without being gray or white or black. And I think it's a nice everything kind of matches with the sage green. You can put a bright color with it. You can put gold with it. Yeah, it's a good one to have as a foundational color for your home, which I'm about to move and be able to do some different decorating. So I'm thinking about that a lot now. Mm-hmm. And then my number 1 is lavender, as we have seen through my many acquisitions in recent weeks. I don't think I've actually knit anything with lavender before, but it's such a beautiful color. And it makes me,
your
and it feels nice.
House socks are lavender.
Oh yeah, you're right. Good memory. I have them literally right over here and still didn't remember that. Yeah. That's my 3 favorites. What are yours?
So we have some overlap. So my number 3 is I don't know how really best to describe it, but a sage or a eucalyptus green, but I like it to be very pastel. I really like that, just pale pastel green. And I like it to not be I like it to be, closer to gray than to blue.
Yeah, I like mine closer to the greenish blue.
It's, I don't know, I just feel like it's so calming. If you've seen Stacy from Stress Knits Yarn, she has a eucalyptus colorway for her yarn. And I think that is literally the green that I think of when I think of my favorite green. And so I call it eucalyptus because that's what she calls hers. But I also have eucalyptus in my shower that's a very different color. So I felt like I had to qualify by saying I like it to be pastel. Again, it's just one of those things that I think is really calming to look at. I do think I didn't used to wear a lot of green. I felt like it made my skin look too yellow, but I like it now. I've grown to like it more. So that's my number 3. My number 2 is not surprising based on the colors of most of my acquisitions this week, is a pale dusty pink. and like kind of ballet pinky, I guess. I don't know. I love pink. I love pink.
It's very you.
It is. And then my top favorite color ever, which is funny because I don't wear a ton of it or knit with a ton of it, is like sunflower yellow. It's bright, it's cheery, it's happy. Sunflowers are my favorite flowers. And I feel like that's one of the things that everybody knows about me is my favorite color is yellow. It just brings me a lot of joy to look at. So yeah, sunflower yellow is my favorite color.
That's a good reason.
And I feel like sunflower yellow and lavender look good together. So that works.
They
for the
sure
two of
do.
us.
Yeah. We're a good pair.
We are. So yeah, those are our favorite colors.
Yay.
If you agree with us, or if you don't
let
agree
us
with
know.
you should let us know in the comments. Tell us your top 3 favorite colors. And they can change day to day. You know, some days
They're
like
certainly allowed to. Pink would have been on my list about 3 weeks ago. So
yep. So anyway, yeah. So tell us in the comments if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like what we do here, please hit subscribe. I think we're like maybe are at 15 subscribers now. So that's pretty good for us.
oh yeah.
We're famous.
Pretty fun. We're basically famous.
We are basically famous. But we really enjoy this time talking to each other about our knitting, and we hope that it brings you guys a little bit of joy and fun and calm in your day. So thanks for being here. Yeah. And
We'll see you next time.
And I'm knitting this in kind of a variety of different yarns. So my main color, this like ivory, and then this kind of, I don't know what to call these, the little dots, are in Malabrigo Rios. The middle line of dots on all of these is in Painted Sky. Sorry if you can hear my child in the background. We're gonna
Being 4 is very hard.
I'm in a meeting.
Why?
Because why are you banging on the door and shaking the whole house?
Well, I just didn't want to come in there.
Okay, well, I'm a little busy right now.
But I'll be quiet.
Okay, why don't you go get your tablet out of the car?
Where's my tablet?
In the car. Go get it.
Okay.
Okay, you have to leave me alone though. You can't bang on the door.
I want to give you a kiss.
Okay. Do you have something to say?
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Okay, go get your tablet.
Okay. Be done too.
Okay.
And be done when the ball is sunset.
Okay, I'll be done by sunset for the ball.
Okay.
Okay,
Good.
thanks.
Oh, and make sure you get your pretty costume on.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
And I will.
Okay.
Yeah, I wonder what costume Dad's gonna get.
I don't know. Okay.
Hope you have fun.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
I hope you get new stuff too.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. I really hope that some of that doesn't get cut out. That was gold.
What?
Well, your surprise is ready.
Okay, I'm still busy.
Can you get your dress ready?
No, not yet. I'm still busy.
Okay, then you have to put your on your party dress for sunset.
Okay, I'll put on my party dress before sunset.
Okay, not your party dress, gown dress.
Okay, I'll put on my gown before sunset. Okay.
I'll put this one on.
Okay, sounds good.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay, bye.
Mom. Make sure you follow your instructions.
Okay.